Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Samantha. Today I'm going to be sharing with you another new release from Revolution. This time it is the collaboration between Carmi and Revolution, and it's the Carmi Kiss of Fire palette. This is the packaging that the palette comes in. It is matte black and then you have white like spots on it, very small spots. It looks to me like the night sky, which I absolutely love. I love the packaging. Then you have the Revolution brand there. You then have a Carmi signature there with the love heart above the eye. Really love that. And of course the name of the palette is there. On the back you have a mini photo of Carmi himself, again his signature, and then the shades there that you're going to receive inside, and of course the ingredients. So I really love the idea that now Carmi, I have you in my home. So I really love that idea. Moving on to the palette itself. Now I really love the packaging of this. I think it is very classy, very elegant. It is black, shiny. So it's very glossy, and then you have of course Carmi's name again there with the love heart, the name of the palette again. So this mimics the packaging of the box, but the box itself is matte and then the palette is glossy. Really love that. And then on the back the colourway is carried through. You've got the black with the rose gold font there. Love it. I just think this is so gorgeous. It really is a classy looking palette. Then when you open it up, you have one of these plastic name sheets. And then inside you have a large mirror, which I'm now going to cover up so I don't blind anyone. And then you have these beautiful shades here. So what I've already swatched them, and like I say, I've already got some of the half of my face done, so I can't wait to share with you how I did that. But yeah, really love the look of this palette. Now I'm just going to mention a few thoughts about the palette so far. Now when I first looked at this, I thought to myself, am I going to be able to make this work for me? There are no what I would call neutral brown shades in here, so you don't have any, you know, I suppose the regular brown shades that you would expect to find in a palette. Now I have watched, again like with Tammi's, I've watched the video because I wanted to get an insight of why, you know, Carmi did a lot of what he did with this palette. And what he says in that video is that you've got 4 matte shades here. So what he's done is he's got the yellow tone there. These are all matte, by the way. So the yellow tone there is for lighter skin tone, so that would be your base, your transitional shade. You've got the orange there for mid-tone, and then you've got this beautiful burgundy shade there for deeper skin tones, and then of course you've got that black there to deepen everything up if you would like. And then the rest of the shades are all shimmers. And again, my thought about the palette is that with these 2 pink shades here, now ordinarily, I'm just going to put the palette down for a moment. Ordinarily, when you have a brighter palette, you don't have neutral pink tones, especially light pinks like those. And I really like the fact that Carmi's added, you know, pinks to this. He could have gone and added, you know, even more brighter shades or another couple of brighter shades, but those 2 pink tones are really going to perhaps pull your looks together. I also like the fact that he's gone with brighter tones as well. I think that Carmi has thought outside of the box with his palette. I think he's incorporated shades in here. Let me just show you it again, cover up the mirror. I think he's really incorporated some really unusual different shades that we're not seeing at the moment necessarily. I think we're seeing a lot of neutral palettes at the moment, and a lot of the palettes look very similar. So I really like the idea, like I say, that Carmi is thinking outside of the box. Not only are you having all of these, or do you have all of these beautiful shades in here, you also have 2 highlights. Now I know, because I do watch Carmi regularly, I know that he loved the Flash highlighter from Revolution. So he's gone with a green highlight here, and he's gone with a more of a neutral. I would say that the neutral is a little bit deep for me, but this tone here, and I'll go through all of the shades with you in a moment. This shade here is absolutely stunning. I have done, in fact, I've applied both of these, which is what Carmi suggests you do, and it looks beautiful, and I'll share that with you in a moment. I am so impressed with this palette. And yes, I have made the eyeshadows work for me, so I just love it. The highlights, like I say, I've applied this side. I've applied the deeper shade first, and then the green highlight on top of that. I wouldn't say that it's overtly green, it's wearable, and this is why I love Revolution so much. You've got blue highlighters within the range, you have got green tones, you have got all sorts of colours of highlights, and they always formulate it so that it works. You're not going to have a big green, bright green strip or stripe, I should say, on your cheek. It works beautifully. So although yes, it's green, it's a little bit different, but it works. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through all of the shades, and then of course I'm going to try on the eyeshadows and recreate the look. I just find it easier to apply one eye, especially with new palettes, and I've applied again quite a number of shades because I want to show you that perhaps if you're looking at this palette and thinking, I'm not going to be able to make that work for me, you really can. So let's go through the shades now, and I'm just going to move the palette over here to start with so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'll go through the eyeshadows first of all. So we've got the matte orange, which is called Bibby. I really love this, and with Tammi's palette as well as Carmi's, they've really incorporated some very, very personal things to them, and I love that. Yeah, I really love it. And of course, Bibby is what Carmi calls his YouTube subscribers or viewers. The next shade is a matte yellow, and Carmi's called that Yellow Heart because yellow is one of his favourite shades. Then he's got this, and this is the first shimmer shade, and it's called Valeria, which is his sister's name, and I really, really love that. Like I say, I love it when the shades are named after, things that are so personal to the people that have, helped design this. So that is, or designed it, so that's Valeria. Then we've got this beautiful shade here, which is called #You're Welcome, which is exactly what Carmi says at the end of every video, and I love that. And that is like a duochrome shade. So we've then move on to the last shade on the top row, or the first row of the eyeshadows, I should say. And then we've got some Roman numerals, and it's XX111, which in Roman numerals is 23. And it seems that everything that ever happens to Carmi that's good and positive always happens on the 23rd of whatever month it is, and I can certainly identify that because my first baby was born on the 23rd. So yeah, a lot of good things happen on the 23rd. Then we've got the second row. So the first shade is matte, and it's called Kiss of Fire. We then have a matte black called Game On. We have got My Fair Lady. Now this is a beautiful light pink shade. Absolutely love it, and this has definitely a personal meaning to it, because My Fair Lady is a film that Carmi watched with a friend, a dear friend of his who sadly passed away, and that person helped him with his English, and they used to watch My Fair Lady, the film, a lot. So that's why Carmi's named that shade My Fair Lady. Then we move on to this beautiful purple. Is it matte? No, it's shimmer, isn't it? Because they're all shimmery. Is it shimmery or is it matte? Let me just have a look at this again. Yeah, it is shimmery. Now this purple shade is called Morning Call. So again, it's got a beautiful message attached to it. And Tammi, who obviously I shared with you her palette a couple of days ago in my video. Now she is Carmi's dear friend, and she loves purple. So apparently they always call each other in the morning, so that's why Carmi has decided to call that shade Morning Cool, which I love. And then Dominion, this is again a beautiful shimmery shade. I do feel that some of the shades are more shimmery than others, but you will find that, and I like that as well. You know, you don't want all the shades to be exactly the same in texture. So we've got a really intense shade there, Dominion, and again this is very personal to Carmi, because this is where he met his partner, so outside the Dominion. So that is why that shade there is called Dominion. So then we move on to the highlights. So you can see now that I've swatched that shade, which is called Flash Me, which has got that green undertone. So it's quite gold and green, golden green, I would say. So it is a beautiful shade, very, very wearable. And then this shade here is called Opulence. And this shade is definitely going to be too deep for me to wear on its own, but like I say, layered up with Flash Me over the top works beautifully, as you can see there. It's a gorgeous colour, and yeah, it is very, very wearable. I love it. But like I say, Revolution do the highlights so well. Now, when I went to the Halloween party last October, I mentioned in my video where I shared Tammy's palette that I met Tammi. She was absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, I didn't get to meet Carmi. He was he was doing a live at the time that I was going to meet him. So of course, you know, he was doing a live for the Revolution channel, so I couldn't meet him at that time. And then of course he had, you know, he was very busy working his way through the crowds of people. So I didn't meet Carmi. I did see him, but yeah, I love Carmi. I love watching his video. I think he's amazing and definitely a valued member of the Revolution team. So I'm so pleased that he has now got his palette out. I've been waiting ever since Soph released hers, waiting for Tammi and Carmi's palette, and now I've got all of them now. So I'm really, really pleased to have all three. So now I want to share with you a look, and I'm really excited to show you how I applied, or what shades I applied on this side of my eye or my face. Okay, so I started off with this brush, and I'm just going to need to put that sheet somewhere. I'm just going to clean that brush. Okay, so the first shade that I used was that beautiful yellow shade called Yellow Heart. So that shade there. So I went in with my Primark brush. I've had to revert back to this brush because I'm just finding it so difficult to use this one. I have got some, and I've mentioned this again in a recent video, I have got some Next brushes that I want to try out. I've got to look over the next few days for another brush because, you know, I've mentioned this so many times, but this Primark brush is no longer available in a lot of Primark stores. So obviously just use the brush that you love to use, and I'm going to just pop that yellow tone on the brush. Now what I would say is these shades are very similar to Tammi's. They are very pigmented and they kick up a little bit but not too much. So I just am going to apply that yellow shade in the crease and then above. So take that above. And I've already applied my base, which is the Eye Elements in Core. Now I think sometimes it's nice when someone designs something that is a little bit different, because I think we get stuck in the rut of wearing those neutral browns that so many palettes have got at the moment, and it's so nice that you've got something different here. And yellow works so beautifully as a base. And this is a lovely yellow. It's not really so bright that you can't wear it as a transitional shade. You can see it's on my eye now and it looks fantastic. Now, of course, I wanted to test out a number of these shades. So I then went in with the shade Bibby, which is that beautiful orange shade. So that one there. So on the same brush, I'm just going to go in with that orange and of course start in the crease again and then blend that in to the yellow, but I don't want to cover the yellow totally up. We want to see that yellow at the top. So I suppose we're doing a gradient of eyeshadows. You can just now see the orange and the yellow. Like that. I'm just going to, I did run a little bit of the orange underneath the eye. I'm just going to run that a little bit. Love that. Then what I did, I then went in with the shade, and it's called Kiss of Fire, which of course is the other base shade. This is for deeper skin tones, but I used all three to create my look today. So I'm just going to apply that and then again keep that into the crease, keep it in the crease and take it up a little bit, but again I didn't want to go over the orange and certainly not over that yellow. So that's what I did with that, and then I popped a little bit of that. I'm just going to use that brush from Primark again, but it's the set that I picked up and it's £3.50 for the set. So and this is very good if you want to put the shade in the crease and then blend it out a little bit, but not too much. It just won't blend as well as this fluffier brush. So like that. So it's made a really, really nice base. I'm then just going to swap over to my Wilko brush. These are only 95p from Wilko. The patterns on them change, but the brush doesn't. And I'm just going to again go into the shade Kiss of Fire and keep that very close to the lash line. I don't want to take out too much of the yellow. And then I'm going to go back in with my fluffier brush and then just blend that out like that. So you've got a nice blend. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of the black shade, which is called Game On, and I'm just going to go back to this less fluffier brush. I don't want too much of this, but I still thought that I needed a little bit of depth. So I'm just going to pop that into the crease and this area here. So just like that. So it's given me a little bit of depth, but not too much. What I like about that black is that, in fact, when I swatched it, I thought, oh, it's not what I would say, you know, a really deep jet black. It looks more to me like a not quite black. It looks like a charcoal black. You can see that there. And I really like that because it blends very, very nicely, but also, especially for day looks, because I did think, you know, with all these yellow, oranges and then that burgundy, I needed something to, you know, tone it down a little bit. And that black shade, like I say, it works perfectly. It blends like a dream. I mean, you saw that. I used this one, which is not even a fluffy brush, and I'm having problems, you know, blending with it. It worked very, very well. So love that. So I'm just going to mimic that on that corner there as well. Now what I'm going to do is apply the lid shade. So I looked at the palette and I thought, I think I went with a more neutral, was it a pinky eye look for Tammi? So I thought I'm going to have to go a little bit bolder with this one because we've got such a bold palette. So I went in with hashtag you're welcome, which is that beautiful two-tone pink purpley shade. So I'm just going to use my finger and apply that on the lid here. Now this shade, it reminds me of the Revolution Pro shades. Very, very buildable. Doesn't have any fallout, and yeah, really, really love the formulation. So I then put that all over the lid, but I stopped. I didn't go all the way in. Just went over the middle. And it's a beautiful, it's like an electric pink because it's got a bluish purple undertone, which I really love. Then what I went in with was this beautiful rose gold shade, and ordinarily I would be drawn to that, but like I say, I wanted to do something a little bit different for you. So then I went in with the beautiful rose gold shade, which is called, and it's called Valeria, which is the name of Carmi's sister, and I then just overlapped that slightly and went more towards the inner corner. Like that, because I don't like too much depth going into the inner corner. So that's that shade. Then what I did was I then swapped to my little Primark pencil brush, and I then went in with the shade My Fair Lady. I love this shade. And then I went right into the inner corner with that. It's a stunning shade. I love it. So there you've got a lovely gradient and of colours, and then going into that beautiful light pink in the inner corner. I also got a little bit more of My Fair Lady and just patted it gently on the middle of the eyelid, just to create a little bit of a spotlight effect, like that. And that is the eye look complete with the eyeshadows, but I then added a little bit of eyeliner. So of course I'm using the Revolution Pro HD Smoky Waterproof Eyeliner, so I'm just going to apply a little bit of that. And of course I added my mascara, which is the Primark PS Amplif-eyed Mascara. I'm not sure why I'm reading it, I know it off by heart now. And I'm just going to apply and that is the eye look complete. Now, of course, I want to add a highlight. So, of course, I'm using my Flex brush. This brush has a highlight. Well, this end I use for highlight, this end I use for contour. And I went in with the shade, where's my, I'm not quite up on all of the shade names yet. I went in first with the shade Opulence, and just applied that. It's a beautiful shade, but it's just a tad, I mean, it might be okay actually. Yeah, if I blend it out, it's okay. But I really wanted to put Flash Me over the top, because that's, you know, what Carmi says on his video to do, what he suggests. And I just love that so much. You can see it better on this side, but wow, look at that. If you love a blinding highlight, you're going to love that combination. It even shows up on this side, and not many highlighters do, because the light doesn't hit me from that way, it hits me that way. But oh my goodness, it's like the mirror effect. I couldn't believe it actually when I applied it. I thought, wow, you know. And although yes, You know, it's got that green undertone. It is so wearable. I can't stop looking at it. It's so stunning. So my final thoughts about the palette. Let me just do a close-up of the eye look. Also, what I would suggest, little suggestion, if you, like me, love these shades, but perhaps you're thinking, you know, they're a little bit too bright for me, that shade there, My Fair Lady, would cover any of these shimmery shades to make a less bright shade, which is what I've done in the middle. So if you're a little bit, you're thinking to yourself, I don't know if I'm going to make this bright palette work for me. I've certainly made it work for me, and it looks stunning. I'm so impressed. I knew that Carmi's palette would have bright shades incorporated in it because you know, I have seen the work that he does, and he does love brighter shades. So I knew that there would be brighter shades in here, but I think whether you love less bright shades, more bright shades, you know, any kind of shade across the board, you're going to love this palette. I think, like I say, he's thought outside of the box. I really love the fact that you've got a yellow, an orange, and then that beautiful burgundy shade as transitional shades rather than brown shades. I mean, everybody's got brown shades. Do we need any more brown shades? So I really love the idea that Carmi's thought outside of the box. You've got some different shades here. You've also got some highlights in here. I think this is a beautiful palette for travelling. I mean, I just love the shades. Let me just show you it again. Let me just hold it up again. I just love it. I think this is a beautiful combination here. You've seen me apply it on my eye, you know, yellow, orange, and this beautiful shade here. It works. The black works. It's amazing. And then you've got these pops of colour here, and then you've got the two less bright shades here that work beautifully. I love this. This palette doesn't, in the photos, and I don't know, I hope that me showing it like this is doing it justice. But I think until you've got it in your hands, you know, you're not going to see just how beautiful it really is. This is a rose gold. This is a two-tone. I just love it, and I can't wait to actually try it again. I especially love this Flash Me shade. I think you could use it on the eye as an inner corner highlight. I think you could use it, you know, as a spotlight shade. I think so many combinations here, and yeah, I think Carmi's done really well. Love it. And I've certainly made it work. Love it. Love the look that I've created. And I'm going to mention it again. I just love the personalisation attached to this palette. Love it. Just beautiful. And I love the packaging. I think it's so elegant. So on a whole, I love the palette. I can't wait to use it again. I'm so glad that I picked it up. I'm so glad that I thought to myself, you know, think more outside of the box myself rather than always going for those brown shades. I generally am not, I do like a little bit of a pop of colour, but I don't generally go for colour. But I'm really glad that Carmi has brought out this palette, and I'm glad that I picked it up because I'm loving the shades that are in here. I love the look that I've created. I love the highlights. The only thing that I would say, if you're expecting a really, you know, deep black shade, that shade, where is it? That black shade there is not what I would say, you know, black as black or black as night. It's not that kind of black. It is more of a charcoal black, but it blends beautifully. And for me, I am always a little bit worried. I mean, I wear quite a lot of black now in my outer corner here, and that actually is all thanks to Tammi and the looks that she's created. But I must admit that, you know, too much black is just too much. So that kind of a black, although, yeah, you know, it's not as black as perhaps what you might expect, it is very wearable, it's very blendable, and I absolutely love it. So well done, Carmi. And not only that, I really love the idea that you put your photo on there so that now I have Carmi in my home. So I really love that as well. So I hope that you found that helpful. If you're thinking, you know, should I or shouldn't I pick up that palette, I hope that's helped you. If you have picked up the palette, have you got yours, and how much are you loving yours? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And of course, if you have just stumbled across my channel, I would absolutely love it if you subscribe to watch further videos. But until tomorrow, thank you so much for watching. Thank you. Bye.